A weary single mother was simply attempting to assist a blind customer in distress. That small gesture led to her losing the job she relied on to provide for her daughter. Yet, at 3 a.m., a phone call brought life-altering news. The U.S. military had encircled her apartment complex, and a high-ranking officer was eager to meet her. Hey there, folks. Thanks for tuning into Top Stories Hub. Let's dive right in. Emma's feet throbbed as she arranged energy drinks in the cool Mart's fridge. Only one more hour until her grueling night shift wrapped up. Soon, she could crash in her cramped apartment. The extra pay for nights was meager, but it covered after-school programs for her 9-year-old, Lily. Night shifts weren't perfect, but single moms don't have many options. The bell above the door chimed, and Emma glanced up to spot a middle-aged man with dark shades cautiously tapping a white cane. His movements struck her as unusually tentative, less confident than those of other blind people she'd met. "Hi," he called, his tone tinged with irritation. "Is there anyone on duty?" Emma hurriedly set aside the drink crate. "Right here, sir. How can I be of assistance?" The man's posture eased at her words. "I just need a couple of essentials. Could you help? I don't want to bother you, but I'm still adjusting to this." He motioned loosely toward his face. "Absolutely no trouble at all," Emma said, walking over. "I'm glad to help you find what you're after." "Thanks. I'm Mike," he said, holding out his hand a bit off-kilter. "I'm Emma," she replied, softly steering his hand to meet hers. "What do you need today?" "Just some pain relievers, a water bottle, and maybe a sandwich if you've got any." Emma peeked at the counter where her boss, Ethan, was supposed to be minding the register. As usual, he was holed up in the back, likely glued to his phone. The employee manual was clear: never leave the front unmanned. Still, she couldn't leave this man to fend for himself. "I'll grab those items for you," she said, leading him through the aisles. While they moved, Mike shared that he'd recently gone blind and was working on handling everyday tasks solo. "My daughter would have a fit if she knew I was out by myself," he said with a dry chuckle. "But after relying on others for months, I wanted to show myself I could manage something basic." Emma's thoughts drifted to her late father, who fought Parkinson's until the end. "I get that," she said softly. "My dad was just as stubborn about his independence." Back at the register, Mike struggled with his wallet. "Sorry," he said, clearly exasperated. "I haven't figured out how to sort the bills yet." Emma noticed the mixed-up 20s and 1s. "Don't sweat it. I'll sort it out for you." "What's going on here?" Ethan's sharp voice cut through the store's calm. Emma turned to find her manager glaring, arms folded, his face red with fury. "I'm just assisting this customer," she started to explain. Obviously, Ethan barked. "You abandoned the register for over 5 minutes. You know that's grounds for termination." "But sir," Mike cut in, "she was only helping because I asked her to." "That's not your business," Ethan snapped, brushing him off. "And you, Emma? Digging through his wallet? Are you kidding me?" "I wasn't digging. He needed help with the bills," Emma said, her stomach dropping. "Yeah, right," Ethan scoffed. "I've been looking to shake things up around here. You're too lenient, always bending rules for people. This is a store, not a soup kitchen." Emma's cheeks burned. "He's blind, Ethan. What was I supposed to do?" "Not your issue and not mine either. You're done. Pack your things and leave." Mike stood motionless, his face unreadable behind his sunglasses. "Sir, I really must." "It's fine," Emma whispered, touching his arm. "It's not worth fighting." She faced Ethan. "Let me finish with this customer and I'll be gone." Emma's hands shook as she helped Mike organize the right bills. After ringing him up, she jotted down her number and handed it to him. "If you ever need a hand, give me a call. I'm out of a job now, but I'm usually around." Mike's hand clasped hers briefly. "I'm so sorry this cost you your job." Emma managed a smile he couldn't see. "It'll be okay. Something better's bound to turn up." But as she gathered her few belongings, she fretted about next month's rent. Jobs were scarce in their small town, especially ones that fit her need for night hours. In the chilly night air outside, Emma let a few tears fall. Lily was with a neighbor tonight, giving Emma a little time to figure out how to break the news about her job loss. I saw what went down in there. The voice startled her. Emma spun to see a woman in her 30s leaning against a sleek black sedan, dressed in sharp business clothes despite the late hour. Sorry, Emma said, stepping back warily. With that blind man, the woman said. Not many would have done what you did. It was nothing big, Emma replied carefully. Anyone would have lent a hand. The woman gave a small smile. We both know that's not true. She handed Emma a business card. I'm Captain Sarah Thompson. If you're up for a new job possibility, call me tomorrow. Emma took the card without thinking. It was plain, with only a name and number, no other details. What sort of job? She asked, skeptical. One that respects people who do what's right, even when it hurts them, Sarah said vaguely. She opened her car door and added, Mr. Carter asked me to pass on his thanks again. Before Emma could ask how she knew Mike's last name, the woman drove off, leaving Emma puzzled and curious. Emma had no idea that this brief meeting would spark a chain of events that would reshape her life in ways she couldn't fathom. Her phone's persistent buzzing snapped Emma awake at 3:17 a.m. Half asleep, she grabbed it, expecting a message from a former coworker who'd offered to talk to Ethan. Instead, she saw an alert from her building's security system, several vehicles detected in parking lot. Baffled, Emma opened the camera feed. Her breath caught. The lot was packed with military vehicles, at least 10 Humvees, their lights piercing the early morning gloom. Uniformed soldiers stood in formation while others appeared to be setting up a command station. What in the world? Emma muttered, leaping out of bed. She hurried to her window and peered through the blinds. The scene was real. Her parking lot looked like a military base. Her phone rang, making her jump. The caller ID showed her building manager's name. Hello, she answered cautiously. Ms. Davis, this is Tom from the front desk. Sorry to disturb you, but some military folks are here asking for you. They say it's urgent. Soldiers? Emma echoed, her thoughts spinning wildly. Did they mention what they're after? No, ma'am, but there's a general here, a legit general with stars on his uniform. He says it's urgent and can't wait until sunrise. Emma's hands trembled as she hurriedly got herself ready. Why on earth would the military need to talk to her? The elevator descent to the lobby seemed to drag on forever. When the doors slid open, Emma stepped into a lobby that was unrecognizable. A dozen officers in crisp uniforms stood at attention, and a silver-haired man adorned with stars on his shoulders was speaking softly with the stunned building manager. Silence fell as she appeared, every gaze locking onto her. Are you Emma Davis? The silver-haired man asked, approaching her. Yes, Emma answered, her voice quieter than she'd hoped. What's all this about? I'm General William Carter, he said, offering his hand. Sorry for the early hour and the dramatic show. But after hearing about last night's events at the Cool Mart, we knew we had to act fast. Emma shook his hand tentatively. The Cool Mart? You mean me getting sacked? I don't see how that involves the military. General Carter glanced at a woman nearby, Captain Sarah Thompson, the same woman from the parking lot. Let's take this somewhere more private, he suggested. 5 minutes later, Emma sat in her modest living room, facing General Carter, Captain Thompson, and 2 other senior officers. The absurdity of it all hit her hard, for high-ranking military officials on her worn-out couch at 3:30 a.m. Ms. Davis, General Carter started. The man you helped last night, who called himself Mike, is actually Major Michael Bennett, one of our most honored Special Forces operatives. Emma blinked at them. The guy who was blind? Sort of, Captain Thompson chimed in. Major Bennett was injured 3 months ago on a covert mission, leaving him temporarily sightless. He's set for surgery next week, which should restore his vision, but for now, he's been grappling with his need for independence. He slipped out last night against doctor's orders, another officer added. He wanted to prove he could handle things on his own. We had a team keeping tabs on him from a distance, but we stayed back because this was crucial for his mental recovery. And then we saw how you stepped in, Captain Thompson went on, treating him with respect, care, and genuine kindness. We also saw the price you paid for it. Emma shook her head, trying to wrap her mind around it. So you're here because… Major Bennett was upset about your firing, General Carter explained. When he got back to base and filled us in, we pulled the Cool Mart security footage. You have access to that? Emma asked, caught off guard. The officers shared a knowing smile. We have our ways, the general said tactfully. What we saw was a rare display of compassion and integrity that's hard to come by. I'm grateful for the sentiment, Emma said cautiously, but I still don't get why the military cares about a cashier losing her job. General Carter leaned in. Ms. Davis, have you heard of the Military Family Assistance Unit? Emma shook her head. It's a dedicated team that supports service members and their families through deployments, medical emergencies, and transitions to civilian life, he said. This work demands people with extraordinary empathy, tact, and moral strength. Traits you showed last night, Captain Thompson added. We have an open position at the base for a civilian family support coordinator. General Carter continued, the role comes with full benefits, a housing stipend, and a starting salary of $65,000 a year. Emma's jaw dropped. That was over double her old pay at the Cool Mart. You're offering me a job, she asked, stunned. We are, the general confirmed. Major Bennett insisted on it. And after looking into your background, You checked my background? Emma cut in, torn between flattery and unease. Just routine, Captain Thompson reassured her. Your employment record, your volunteering at Lily's school, the way you cared for your father during his illness, it all shows you're the kind of person we need. Emma leaned back, overwhelmed. This feels like a dream. Stuff like this doesn't just happen. Sometimes it does, General Carter said with a warm smile. A single act of kindness can unlock doors you never knew were there. As the officers got ready to leave, Emma spoke up again. Hang on, why the whole show? She pointed toward the window where the Humvees still loomed. Why the midnight military parade? General Carter paused at the door. Major Bennett is a highly respected officer who's saved countless lives. When he makes a request, we act with the urgency it deserves. His eyes twinkled. And, off the record, he was adamant we make a memorable entrance. After they left, Emma stood by her window watching the military vehicles roll out. The sky was starting to glow with the first signs of dawn. In a few hours, she'd need to pick up Lily and figure out how to explain this whirlwind. She glanced at the card in her hand, still warm from her grip. A $65,000 salary, benefits, housing, a meaningful career helping those in need, all because she'd taken a moment to help a blind man buy a sandwich and aspirin. The Cool Mart was almost deserted when Emma walked through the glass doors at exactly 10:45 a.m. Ethan was behind the counter, looking as grumpy and bored as ever. He stiffened when he saw her, his expression turning cold. You're not allowed here, he said, reaching for the phone. I'll call the cops if I have to. Emma raised her hands. I'm just a customer today, Ethan. That's it. He eyed her warily as she grabbed a water bottle and approached the counter. She spotted a help wanted sign taped next to the register. They hadn't wasted time trying to replace her. That's $1.79, Ethan said curtly. Emma handed over exact change, then paused. How's the hiring going? Ethan frowned. None of your business, but the last two bailed after a couple of days. Nobody wants the night shift. Sounds tough, Emma said evenly. If you're here to grovel for your job, forget it, Ethan snapped. Emma smiled. Actually, I'm not after my old job. I came to thank you. Thank me? Ethan's brow furrowed. For canning you? Kind of, she said, sliding her new business card with a military emblem across the counter. If you hadn't fired me for helping Major Bennett, I wouldn't have landed this. Ethan picked up the card, his face shifting from confusion to disbelief as he read, Military Family Assistance Unit. This is a prank, right? Not at all. The blind man I helped is a decorated Special Forces officer. His higher-ups were quite taken with how you managed things when they watched the security footage. Ethan's face paled. Security footage? They saw everything. Every single word, Emma said. General Carter was especially curious about your leadership approach. Ethan set the card down, his hands unsteady. Are you saying the military's got eyes on the store? Emma shrugged. I can't share operational details, but Major Bennett has influential friends who care deeply about how veterans are treated. She grabbed her water bottle and headed for the door, then stopped. Oh, Ethan? You might want to rethink your stance on helping disabled customers. You never know who's watching. As Emma stepped into the sunlight, she heard Ethan frantically dialing the phone. She couldn't suppress a grin. It wasn't about payback, but there was something gratifying about Ethan finally grasping the fallout of his harshness. Are we really moving to an army base? Lily asked for the third time, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she bounced on her bed. Emma smiled, folding another of her daughter's t-shirts and tucking it into the partially packed suitcase. 2 weeks had passed since that bizarre early morning meeting, and they were nearly set for the move. Yup, sweetheart. Our new home's right on the base, and you'll go to school there, too. Will there be other kids like me? Lily asked, her tone turning serious. Emma sat beside her daughter, brushing a lock of hair behind her ear. Tons of them. Kids whose parents serve in the military, just like I'll be doing now. And the man you helped? He's a real hero, right? Major Bennett. He sure is. You'll meet him tomorrow. Lily threw her arms around Emma's neck. I always knew you were amazing, Mom. Dad used to say your heart was bigger than the whole planet. Emma's throat tightened. James had been gone 4 years, taken by a construction accident when she was just 28. Yet Lily still recalled his words. I'm not amazing, honey. I just did what anyone ought to do. That's what makes you amazing, Lily said with a 9-year-old's clear wisdom. You do the things everyone should, but they don't. Holding her daughter close, Emma marveled at how their lives had transformed. One small act of kindness in a convenience store had sparked a chain reaction that reshaped their future. Sometimes the world rewards kindness when you least expect it, and sometimes choosing the right path in your toughest moment leads to the brightest new chapter. Loved this story? Smash that like button and subscribe for more. Check out the video on your screen right now, you won't want to miss it. Catch you in the next one.